What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of You for Solo Leveling Season 2. This is episode
Three of season.
3. Yeah, that's right, 3. And with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
Yeah. Honestly, I was really surprised in how quickly they sped through this arc. Like Sung, like he just blasted through like 75 floors, pretty much in just one episode. Like, like, which is funny because for people who watch Sword Art Online, it like literally took Kirito like 2 years just to reach that far with, just well, even though he considers himself a solo player in comparison to Sung in this show, like he just basically just solos it by himself in just I think supposedly in 1 week.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, because it shows him defeating like an entire army, and then he kills the general. So, I mean, he takes care of that, but then he also shows that I guess, he's now in control of the shadow version of the ice bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and he still tries to extract, I guess, some of the demons that he kills, but he's not able to extract their shadows to join the shadow army.
Yeah, it mentions that their spirits are too corrupted for him to extract into his shadow army. But what's also really funny is like the further he moves up these floors, the easier it gets for him because, I mean, sure, he had some trouble with that giant ogre beast thing in the 50th floor, but then by the time he reached the 75th floor, fighting this like Grim Reaper thing, he just kills it in just one shot.
Yeah. And now apparently he's pretty close to his goal of finding a cure for his mother.
Yeah, he pretty much already has 2 of the 3 main ingredients that he needs, but he decides to call it quits after he runs out of his food rations. I mean, I don't know how he manages to keep that much, to be honest. But yeah, I think one of the more interesting plot developments is the reappearance of Sung Jinu's father, Sung Ihwan, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if his father been mentioned at all.
No, this is his father. This is the first appearance of his father. He just basically what happens is that, like, he mentions that he was trapped inside of a gate for at least 10 years. So we could assume that he's a hunter as well. But supposedly he got transported from South Korea and then reappearing all the way somewhere in America. And of course they do this thing in which he tries to speak English to one of the hunters. Anyway, but so he gets taken in into custody, and then of course I mean, of all the hunters that they decided to interpret for him is Dong-soo, who's pretty much the same person who wants to kill Jinu for killing his brother. So he ends up interrogating him, and then of course Ihwan tells Dong-soo about like the real purpose of the gates, that there's a bigger reason why these gates are appearing, and there's like a bigger threat beyond this, and of course, like despite the fact that there are a lot of hunters like taking out these gates by themselves, that it's pretty much not enough to deal with what's coming. But of course Dong-soo just doesn't really take that seriously, and of course he ends up mocking him by the time Ihwan mentions that he has a family, and then his son is Sung Jinu.
Yeah. And then eventually they proceed to fight, but we don't actually see it. I guess it happens off screen, and Dong-suk is actually beaten by Jinwoo's father.
Yeah.
So I guess it just shows how strong he is.
Yeah.
And I guess now his father's somewhere on the loose.
Yeah, I mean, they never really stated how what rank Sung Ihwan is right now, but I could assume if he's strong enough to take down Dong-soo, then he's probably in S rank as well.
Yeah, I guess he must have been maybe like leveling up during the time he was trapped for like 10
I
years.
mean, we don't really know that for sure. Maybe, like,
I mean, that's just my guess,
yeah,
considering how he's supposedly like really strong now.
yeah. I mean, well, that's of course that's another, that's another interesting plot point about the whole mystery about the whole system thing. Um,
Mm.
I mean, we saw this last week in which Ginu was questioning the iSelf leader of like why they're going about attacking humans, but of course, when he tries to get an answer from him, I was at Baruka ends up glitching out and then just proceeds not to answer Ginu's question. So there's a lot that's kept hidden from pretty much everybody in terms of like why these gates are appearing out of nowhere.
Yeah. So there was also like, um, I guess another. I don't know if you'd say subplot, but it also focuses on the Jinwoo's friend, who's like the part of the, I think it was the Yujin construction group.
Yeah,
Uh, yes, like how he's like trying to become the I guess the head of the Yujin construction. And he like, I guess, well, we see him talking to Jinwoo, and he asks if he could. Well, he says like he doesn't have a good relationship with his brother, and he's sees, I guess he sees Jinwoo as almost like his brother, and Jinwoo says like, okay, I guess you can be like my younger brother or something. So we get that, and then we also get a scene where he's negotiating, I guess, with his. I don't know if was it his father or
yeah,
his.
yeah. It's his dad.
Yeah, like
He's trying to.
he's basically like trying to trying to make a deal with him where he can, I guess, become the next head of the. I think it was Eugene Construction.
Not really that. He
Or,
wants to create his own guild over his
oh
brother
yeah, yeah.
because because it's so he can get his father's like I guess his funding to create this guild and create his own guild. Of course, his father is like initially hesitant at first, but eventually agrees when he finds out that the person that Gino was working with is, of course, Sung Jinu, who's been helping out with these raids. Well, all of the raids
Mm.
that he's agreed to help him out with, and of course, as we remember in the last episode, the White Tiger Guild is looking to recruit Jinu into their guild, but Jino's father is asking Jinho is to help recruit Sung into their and potentially into their guild if he manages to create one.
Yeah. And we also see I forget her name, but I think she was like an archer or something, like the woman from the Red Gate incident. I guess her and this other guy like
Oh
try to
yeah,
track down Jinwoo.
yeah. She was
Uh,
yeah. It's the same character from the Red Gate incident. What was it? It was Hunter Park. She tries
yeah.
to go to Jinu's apartment, but of course he's not there at the time because he's current at the time of the episode, like he's in that, what was it, in that S rank dungeon, well, like wherever he is.
Yeah, and also we get I guess more anime original scenes with Cha Hae-in, like how we got in the first season.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
they
very.
don't really add much of anything though. I mean, I guess it's just there to give her more screen time.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really feel like it was necessary to put her in there because she is eventually gonna reappear in an upcoming episode. The reason why that's there
Mm.
is because they're gonna hype up the upcoming Jeju Island arc. But the I mean, I still have issues about this because the Jeju Island thing is, I don't know if they're gonna adapt this for this season, even though if there's like 13 episodes. Um, Heck, even I mentioned this last week, is that Alex Lee, who I talked with at one of the latest conventions, that mentions that he doesn't believe that the Jeju Island arc is going to be this season. It will most likely be in season 3.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was a pretty decent episode. I mean, I like that it actually kind of moved the plot along a little bit, and we got introduced to Jinwoo's father, which they kept kind of like teasing him in the, obviously we saw him in the trailer and we see him as somewhat in the opening. So like, but I was afraid they were gonna like save his appearance for later. So I'm kind of glad that he shows up so soon in this, at the beginning of the season instead of like them holding off till later to like show him and reveal who he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of wondering like what role he's gonna play, and if he's gonna be almost like an. It seems like he might be like an antagonistic character, but I'm not too sure.
I mean, he doesn't
And
he doesn't seem to be antagonistic. He was trying to
yeah,
convince the hunters in America that something bad is coming their way. So it's really hard to tell if he's gonna be able to convince anyone. It's possible. I mean, obviously he's gonna go back home to try to convince. Maybe he might convince his son to help out with this upcoming threat.
hmm but yeah, I mean, I do like also that we got more scenes with some of the side characters as well as and not just Jinwoo. And I guess that's just because Jinwoo wasn't really the only thing he was doing this whole time was just fighting these like demons in the well, he went back to this one gate or instance that he went to in the first season, which is like this burning city.
Yeah.
So he goes back there to fight, I guess, to ascend to higher floors. So that's all he was doing. So I like that they kind of took that opportunity to focus on the other characters and not just Jinwoo.
Yeah. In terms of like Jinwoo, like going into this S rank dungeon, he will be going back to this dungeon again in later episodes. But for right now, like he's going to be dealing with like another issue in the next episode in which people will eventually find out like how powerful he is, and pretty much everyone is looking to recruit him into their respective guilds.
Oh, you mean like the other members of the Hunters?
Oh yeah,
are going to find out how.
Yeah, for the Hunters Association are still looking to recruit him, knowing how powerful he's become.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering like how like what level he even is at this point, considering he leveled up multiple different times. Like I guess in this episode.
Oh
too.
yeah, well minor spoilers for the next episode. They'll finally reveal this once he goes to reevaluate himself.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd imagine he's pretty high. He must be pretty high level.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about the episode, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
I mean, well, it was a really fast-paced episode, and what's funny is that this entire episode, like, really adapted half of an entire volume. I was a bit surprised in like how quickly I initially thought that this that Jinwoo's journey inside this gate would last 2 episodes, but it just blasted through him like, going through 75 floors in just 1 episode.
Yeah, that kind of makes me wonder if there was anything important cut out, considering that they.
Yeah, there were some cuts, unfortunately. Like, there was one thing I never mentioned. Back in episode 1 is like when he, like right before Jinwoo was supposed to go to this parent-teacher conference for his sister. There was a short scene in which he goes to the bank to set up like a debit card and then him buying new clothes, but there was an obvious reason why they cut that out and didn't feel like it was necessary.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that. I don't really have a problem with them cutting that.
Yeah, and there were some conversation details between Dong-soo and Jinwoo's father that were kind of cut out just a little bit for time constraints, I guess. The Jinwoo, going through the demon gate or the demon dungeon is like, well, obviously it just went by really fast for obvious reasons. There probably could have been a few more extra action scenes, especially with him fighting that giant ogre thing, but they just ended that fight like really quick. Same thing with that with him just like one-shotting that boss in the 75th floor.
Yeah, I mean, they made those fights seem pretty trivial.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's not how they were in the manhwa, but in the anime, it just seems like he didn't really have a hard time with.
Yeah, the manhwa made it a little bit longer, but I guess they want to get through this. I don't know if maybe it's intentional, maybe they just want to get through parts of the story a little bit quickly in a way. But honestly, as of right now, I don't have a problem with it. I just worry that I just hope they don't go way too fast. Like, as much as I would love to see the Jeju Island storyline, I don't want them to just like blast through it like immediately, because that is like one of the top like one of the top tier like storylines that they have in in the manhwa.
Yeah, that's what I hear. But yeah, yeah. I guess that being said, guys, until next time, we will see you all later.